All right, what is up, everybody? Divine Hood here, coming at you with another daily update on Bitcoin and the crypto markets. Okay, guys, so with this pump today, this really kind of changes everything for Bitcoin about coming for those 107K lows. Let's go ahead and zoom out onto the 4-hour chart, and we were potentially looking at still coming down for these 107K lows based off of a larger WXY correction, seeing that WXY correction coming down to take out those lows. But we did talk about in yesterday's live stream that if we do look at a 5 wave impulse from our weekend lows, from really Thursday's lows at 108.600, if we see a 1, 2, 3, 4, a 5 wave impulse, that is going to change everything, because if we see an impulse up instead of a corrective move, that means we're not looking at a bigger ABC to come down to finish your Y wave, and it's going to invalidate that potential for a bigger drop to the downside. And we are pushing up, and you can see yesterday in the stream we had highlighted a resistance above at the top of the channel. We had a naked weekly POC, a naked daily POC, our 786 Fibonacci retrace, a daily level, and the top of the channel. So a lot of confluence of resistance in this area that we were highlighting yesterday. Well, this today we just pumped straight through it. No reaction at all. Straight candle straight through it. Very aggressive pump here, and we are just continuing to push higher. So unfortunately, we didn't get the reaction we wanted to here. In the bearish scenario, we would have rejected from this area potentially to work our way back down. But now that we did not reject from this area, we are breaking out from our bigger descending channel from really the all-time highs, this descending channel that we've been seeing, highly respected. I am looking for us to continue now up to our next level of resistance above. And let me talk about that. Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of the naked weekly POC. No reaction at all at that naked weekly POC. And the next level of resistance I'm looking at is this weekly coming up around 119.3K, where you can see our value area high is coming up around 119.6K. So between 119.3 and 119.6 is the value area high of our range. And what we saw here, let me go ahead and hide this macro range. What we saw here earlier this week is we were able to break back inside the value area and above those anchored VWAPs, those key double anchored VWAPs. And I talked about this on, I believe it was Monday's video. If we backtest after rejecting from the golden pocket, if we backtest that value area low in those anchored VWAPs and we flip it to support, then we should make new highs. Now, I was only looking up to that 115.8K area, but there was the potential for a breakout for higher, and that is what has happened now. And we did find reacceptance back within our volume profile. So there was a probability we could work our way up to the POC and maybe even to the value area high. Well, we've just pumped through the POC even today. Very small reaction for a couple hours at the POC. Of course, that was also a swing failure pattern liquidity grab of our prior highs back from September 18th. But we are pumping here. We are pumping, and we are pumping aggressively still right now. Just got the daily close for the day, and Bitcoin is continuing to push up here, continuing to push up to our levels. Now, I will say this. If we do hit our 0.7 Fibonacci retracement level from the all-time high down to those 107.2K lows, if we come in here and we turn on our 0.7 and we hit that 0.7, that is somewhat of an invalidation for the X wave. If an X wave hits that 0.7, then the bigger WXY correction is far less probable now. So if we come up here and we hit this, which you can see happens to be right at our weekly level and right at our value area high, it is a resistance to look at where we could see a rejection. But even if we see a rejection from this area, I would be looking for a higher low to come in before continuing to push up here, continuing to push up to higher levels, potentially breaking the all-time high. And maybe 107.2K was our ultimate low. We do know that that 107.2K area was our major box of support. Let me see if I still have that on the chart. Yes, this was our macro value area high, a daily level, a pitchfork level, golden pocket as we were coming down to this level, we were looking for this level to hold as our macro support. And a couple weeks ago in the videos, let me go ahead and hide some of these other, clean up this chart just a bit here. As we were looking to come down into that level, a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, we were talking about the macro range. So let me go ahead and come onto this object tree. We'll turn off this intermediate range that we're seeing here, and we will turn on our macro range. And let's zoom out to the daily time frame. We talked about how anytime you see a breakout of a macro volume profile, let me turn off these weeklies as well so it's not distracting here. Okay, and I will even turn off this descending channel. Anytime you see a breakout of your 2025 fair value for Bitcoin, we broke out of it. We are looking for that move to come down to back test that value area high. And if it holds in the back test, then you can expect new highs to come in. The market is now saying what used to be considered for most of 2025 overvalued for Bitcoin is now being flipped to support and being considered a buying opportunity for Bitcoin. And you can expect new highs to come in on the charts above the all-time high. And right now, it looks like that value area high, which used to be considered overvalued, is now being accepted as a support level and as a buying level for Bitcoin. So I do have to say this does look bullish, and the fact that we impulsed up from 108.2K here changes everything about a larger, steeper correction to the downside. So Bitcoin's looking bullish. Money flow on the daily time frame crossing up into the green, looking pretty good here. And on NAMI, it is about to cross up into the green as well. If we do zoom in on to our 8-hour time frame, we are still potentially developing some bear divs on the chart here with the higher highs in the price action and lower highs in the momentum waves. And our money flow is still overall draining out of the asset. So we have to be careful of seeing a rejection still at 119.3 and potentially coming down to make a higher low, but we could see a multi-$1,000 drop to make a higher low before then making a higher high and potentially breaking all-time highs. But overall, Bitcoin, with this impulsing up today with the bullish price action that we've seen, it does change the scenario, making the bullish scenario for me now more probable than the bearish scenario, which was more probable prior to today. You can see on the 2-hour money flow still looking very, very healthy here. NAMI, we are starting to see some bear divs on the money flow and bear divs on the momentum waves. Of course, on Market Cipher B, we're seeing those bear divs on the momentum waves, but we're only seeing one drive of bear divs, and we are actually coming up into that resistance as we're making this video. I want to see how this reacts because I am willing to take a trade here if we have the proper confirmation. So coming on to the 15-minute, 15-minute actually looks pretty healthy here, and we are not seeing local bearish divergence right now as far as the 15-minute goes. 5-minute chart. Yeah, not too much bearish divergence here, so I do not have my confirmations as of now to short this level. We are coming up into this level as we're making the video, which is a little bit unexpected here that we're pumping so quickly. But yeah, money flow looks good. And remember, one drive of bear divs that we're seeing potentially on the 2-hour a bullish money flow is always going to overpower a single drive of bear divs. So for me, I do not see enough confirmation. Yes, we still could get a small pullback from here, but it's not looking good for the short position for me. And quite frankly, this looks good. This looks strong. Bitcoin is looking strong here. And we could come up to our next major level if we go ahead and zoom out here onto that 8-hour chart and we pull a Fibonacci retracement from the all-time high down to those 107.2K lows. And we look at that 786. Yeah, that 786. Let's make sure we have the 786 on. There we go. Is at 120.8. So that's the next level. If we break this resistance box that I just laid out 5 minutes ago, then I will be looking at that 120.8K area of resistance as a potential resistance. Let's zoom in onto the 2-hour. So we are hitting that weekly. It looks like we're coming up hitting that weekly level right now. It's at 119,300, excuse me. And we are hitting that weekly. We are just continuing to pump here, though, on Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and look at our order flow sheets here, order flow charts. Now, yesterday, guys, I did talk about this yesterday. Okay. Well, we'll have to look at this a different time because I'm not going to log in right now. We talked about the short squeeze that was about to happen for Bitcoin, and I showed you guys that short squeeze that was possible. Let's go onto the 1 month chart here on our Model 2, and let's look at the liquidation levels. Okay, so we are coming up into some of that liquidity that was above us. Let's look at our Model 3 here. And the next big liquidity level really for Bitcoin is coming up into those all-time highs, coming up to about 122, 123K above us. So yeah, I would say, okay, not quite up to the all-time highs. It's more going to be like our 886 Fibonacci. Yeah, about your 886 Fibonacci. Now, I do have to remind you guys, in these larger ranges, the 886 Fibonacci does give you harsh rejections. And a good example of that is if we do go back to our 2024 range, we saw multiple rejections from the 886 Fibonacci. If we pull that high to low here, 886 Fibonacci gave us harsh rejection, big drop to the downside. Then if we look at the next major high to major low, 886 Fibonacci gave us a harsh rejection, came all the way back down to make new lows. So be aware that yes, that 886 Fibonacci with that liquidity above could still give us a reaction in this range. That 122,500, 122,600-ish level could give us that same sort of reaction. But right now, Bitcoin's looking bullish, and we are hitting up into our resistance as we speak, making the video here, coming up into that value area high. Okay, let's turn on that actual fixed range volume profile. Yes, so this is our range that we've been in for the past 6 or 7 weeks, really since July 10th, almost 2 months now, month and a half, and we're coming to the value area high of the range. So for the last month and a half, this now is considered a little bit into the overvalued portion for Bitcoin, and there is the potential that we do see rejection here. I would have to say what we're seeing locally with money flow on lower time frames still looking pretty bullish here, and on the higher time frames and intermediate time frames looking bullish. Even if we get a small rejection from this area of resistance, I am expecting a higher low to come in on the charts and to continue pushing up. So that is about it for Bitcoin, guys. We busted through the levels. We're breaking out of the descending channel. And oftentimes, when you break out of a descending channel, you will really sweep that liquidity of the second pivot of the channel, which we've already done. We've swept the liquidity at 118K, but you can oftentimes come and take the liquidity of the entire descending channel, which would be coming up and taking out all-time highs. Doesn't mean it's going to be a straight shot up there. We could see small rejections along the way, 786 and then 886. So that's kind of what I'm going to be looking at over the next weeks here on Bitcoin, next couple of weeks here on Bitcoin. I will say this, if we do come up and make another all-time high, I am going to be very wary of the higher time frame bear divs on the chart. And if we continue to create more bear divs on the chart on higher time frames, I will be considering taking some spot profits, knowing that we are getting close, potentially close to the end of the bull cycle. 2-day money flow now on Market Cipher B is looking very healthy with the close that we just got. Coming up pretty aggressively. We did get a green dot on the last 2-day time frame, and then let's go on to that weekly chart and let's look at the weekly time frame here. Yeah, green dot printing right now on the weekly time frame, and our money flow is now rising again on that weekly time frame. So depending on how this weekly candle closes, which we still do have 4 days left until this candle closes, but this could be signs at least for a new all-time high, but potentially a few more weeks or even a few more months of bullish price action. This weekly close is going to be actually pretty important. Okay, that's about it for Bitcoin. Now let's go into some of the altcoins real quick. Just briefly covering some of the altcoins. So Ethereum, our bias on Ethereum was to come up and make new highs on the more macro levels. Let me go ahead and hide some of this local TA, and we will talk about that larger Elliott count that we've been talking about for months on the channel with the lows of about $1,300. We were looking at a big 5 wave impulse, a wave one here, a wave two, a wave three, and in our wave four, we were looking for that 3 wave corrective move to come down and hit the 382 or to come down and hit the zero point 0.5. I've been talking about this for weeks on my stream. Well, last week we finally did see that 3 wave corrective move. We came down and we hit that 382 pretty much perfectly. But also, if we take that trend based Fibonacci extinction, first off, let me hide some of this stuff on the charts so that it. Okay. If we were looking at coming down and hitting that 382 in a 3 wave corrective move, we were looking at potential correction targets. So if you take that trend based Fibonacci from the highs to the lows of your initial wave push down up to those lower highs, and we turn on between the 1-to-1 and the 1.236, you can see that where did we hit into that 1.236? And let me turn it off log scale real quick. We pretty much perfectly hit that 1.236, and I'll hide this box real quick so you can see that. Hit into the 1.236, hit into our macro 382, which was our targets if we were going to see a 3 wave corrective move, potentially ending our 4th wave, and then seeing now a 5th wave up to make real new all-time highs. One more impulse in a 5th wave to make new all-time highs. Ethereum technically has hit that target, and we are holding it as support and starting to impulse up out of here. So what I would say about Ethereum is there is a potential that all that we are seeing in here could be wave one of a much bigger 5 wave impulse, bringing us up to new all-time highs by quite a bit. And if we pull a Fibonacci extinction from the highs of wave three to the lows of wave four, and we turn on those wave five targets, we could come up to 5,200 to 5,600 in the next coming weeks for Ethereum, making new all-time highs. With some pullbacks along the way, we're going to be expecting a 5 wave impulse here. Now that we have our macro bias established of higher and new all-time highs, we can zoom in here a bit and we can look at some of the more local price action. Okay, so we are coming back up inside this volume profile. This was a volume profile, about a 6-7 week volume profile at the top of our bigger pitchfork that we did break down from. But now that we have found re-acceptance back within that volume profile, we can extend this volume profile all the way over. And I'm going to extend it even to here now that we have that flat kind of range that formed in here. And you can see that what has happened here is we have busted back inside the volume profile, back tested this point of control, and are holding it as support. And there is a potential now that we could work our way up to the value area high of this range, which you can see is exactly at the top of our pitchfork. And we could see another rejection up at the top of the pitchfork around 46.70. In the meantime, though, it does look pretty bullish for Ethereum, where we could be seeing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave impulse in here. And where would I expect this initial wave one of the much bigger push to the upside to potentially end? And if I go on to my other Ethereum chart, you can see, and I pointed this out in the stream yesterday, if we take a Fibonacci golden pocket retrace from the highs of this entire move down to the lows, our golden pocket is coming in right around that 4,400 to 4405 to 4435. And that is also the top of a pitchfork band where on what was that Tuesday stream, I talked about how we reclaimed that pitchfork band, back tested it as support, and there was the potential to move up to the top of the pitchfork band where that 4,400 golden pocket is. Now, I believe that is a highly probable situation that we are going to work our way up to that area. And let me extend this volume profile. Yeah, and even if we reject from this golden pocket at 4,400, I would be expecting that this could be done. This 5-wave impulse could be done. We could see a 3-wave corrective move down to our golden pocket area before seeing a very explosive wave higher, a very much explosive wave higher in our wave 3 of our more macro impulse. So let's just do a thought experiment here real quick. We'll take a theoretical Fibonacci from the lows of this impulse that we're seeing to that golden pocket. We're just going to put it right on that 4405 level. And let's turn on the golden pocket. So we could retrace all the way back down to about 4K. Now, just above though, just above this golden pocket, I want to go back onto my other chart here, because just above that golden pocket, and I'll pull that golden pocket on this chart from the highs to the lows of this few week move down, you can see on Coinbase it's about 4408 to 4438, $3 higher than Bybit. But just above that golden pocket, we do have some very nice volume resistance coming in. We have a naked weekly point of control, a naked daily point of control, and a daily level coming in right around $4,479 to $4,489. And I do believe that we could even continue breaking above this golden pocket and hitting into this volume area of resistance where we do have multiple confluences up here. So I'm going to be watching both. I'm going to be watching really the $4,400 level. If we break above 4,400, that would be the top of the pitchfork band. Then actually I'm going to be expecting a move to 4,480. And let's just turn on that naked weekly point of control so you can see that it's there. Naked weekly point of control 4493 here on Bybit. I will go ahead and mark that out here. And then if we go ahead and turn on our naked daily points of controls, you will see that we do have a naked daily point of control there as well, very close by at about 4473. 4471. So those are my potential areas of interest to look for short positions. We are seeing the bear divs on the 2-hour chart, higher highs in the price action, lower highs in the momentum waves. On NAMI, we're seeing multiple drives of bear divs, but also on NAMI, we're seeing those bear divs on the money flow. Now, this is important to see. The bear divs on both momentum and money flow on NAMI and momentum on Market Cipher B. If we come up into this golden pocket area, with lower time frame bear divs. So we're going to want to zoom in onto the 15-minute and under. And are we seeing bear divs on the chart here? Higher highs in the price action, lower highs in the momentum waves. Yes, we are. So if we continue to grind up in this channel, and I actually have a channel already on the charts here. Let's turn on that channel. We were kind of grinding within this channel throughout the day. If we do come up to that $4,400 level, with continued low time frame bear divs, continued intermediate time frame bear divs, then I will look for a short position from that area. I'm also long on Ethereum. That's going to be a TP1 for me, 50% at 4405, and then I will look to TP some more up in this general area, probably another 25%. But that's our two levels of interest for me, is between the 4489 to 4479, and then the golden pocket at 4405. But Ethereum, I do believe, is highly, highly probable to continue working its way up to that resistance above us. We also would be filling in this fair value gap in here. You can see this big imbalance candle to the downside. And now that we have started filling this imbalance, we're going to have a fair value gap in there that we could fill. So you could see that fair value gap would be filled about that golden pocket area. Let me turn on this one. There you go. Fair value gap in here. We've already started working our way into the fair value gap. If you can see here on this indicator, this was the start of the fair value gap. So we had a big fair value gap all the way in here, and we've already filled about half of it. So what we're rejecting from right now is the 50% point of that fair value gap. I think it will be, at the very least, a small rejection before continuing up to that golden pocket. But that's kind of what we're looking at for Ethereum. Nice bounce from our macro support level that we were looking at, the 1.236 Fibonacci extinction from this corrective move. And it was also our macro 382 Fibonacci retrace for a wave 4. Now we could be starting our wave 5 with all of this being our wave 1. We could see a wave 2 retrace and then a big push up, breaking all-time highs, coming up 4, 5, or even coming up to the 1.618 around 5,700, 5,600. So that is it for Ethereum. Next, let's go on to Solana. Now, guys, Solana is hitting into a local golden pocket. And in yesterday's live stream, I talked about this golden pocket. So if we look at our rejection from our resistance, that was a weekly level and a 786 at $252. It was our macro 786 Fibonacci. It was the top of a pitchfork. You can see this blue line here was the top of the pitchfork. And we were looking for a potential 5-wave impulse down, a 1, 2, all of this being your 3. And in yesterday's stream yet, we hadn't come up to $216 level, where if we were going to reject from that 0.5, which is a common wave 4 retrace target, then we could expect a 5th wave down coming down to our golden pocket, our logarithmic golden pocket around 187. But what we did today by hitting this golden pocket that we're hitting into right now as we speak, we have invalidated this as an impulse down now. Now we have to look at this as a very aggressive 3-wave corrective move down with a very extended C wave here. And now that we are starting to push up here, we could be looking at impulsive price action for Solana. Now, here's the thing with Solana. Let me turn off some of these levels. Actually, we obviously busted straight through our naked daily point of control at 221. I'm going to delete that now. That was a new naked daily point of control. No reaction there really earlier today. But from the lows at about 191, you can see we do have some initial moves. We were able to get back above our pitchfork midline, back test our pitchfork midline, and once we held it as support, we saw another high on the charts. But you can see we do have overlap here. If we were looking at this as an impulse, as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we can't count this as a 5-wave impulse because we have overlap. And if we look at the highs of wave 1 and the lows of wave 2, we have overlap here. So you cannot, that's invalidation for this being a 5-wave impulse. But in an even more bullish case scenario, you could see this as a double 1, 2, a 1, 2, 1, 2, and now we're about to explode up in a 3rd wave and then see a 4, 5, 4, 5 potentially coming up to the top of the pitchfork again and to the top of our resistance box where there was some resistance that wasn't hit. So we're looking at some pretty bullish price action possible for Solana in the next couple of weeks here. Solana has been trading over this week in this nice ascending channel. And we are hitting up into the top of the ascending channel and our local golden pocket. So I would not be surprised right now if we do see a small pullback either to the midline, which is going to be around 216, or even to the bottom of the channel around 211. And if we look at our local lows from this Tuesday to the highs that we just made today, you can see that golden pocket coming in is going to be at the bottom of the channel. And in a very, very bullish case scenario, we could be looking at a triple 1, 2 impulse, a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then a giant 3rd wave, and then 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5 to continue pushing up here, a multiple 1, 2 impulse. And so if we do reject from the top of this channel in the golden pocket and we come back down to 211, I will be looking for potential swing long opportunities to catch our mega 3rd wave of a much bigger impulse to the upside. Yes, we are seeing right now a small reaction. We do not really have bear divs on the 2-hour. If we go on to the 1-hour chart, we are starting to develop some bear divs, but that money flow is always going to overpower it. And money flow looks bullish on NAMI and Market Cipher B. And if we zoom out to some more of the intermediate time frames, You can see money flow nicely curving to the upside here. We did have some bull divs on the chart coming into that low. Lower lows on the price action, higher lows on the momentum waves. Also on NAMI, bull divs, money flow rising to the upside here. And now that we have invalidated this as a 5-wave impulse down, we are no longer going to be looking at these lower targets of this golden pocket below and potentially much higher prices for Solana. Now, let me go into some local resistances above if we are going to keep pushing here. Let me hide this local golden pocket we're rejecting from right now. Let me hide this ascending channel. And if you can see the golden pocket, we have a larger golden pocket pulled from the highs of this rejection all the way down to the lows of this rejection. Our golden pocket is going to be coming in between 229 and 231. We could see that is also going to be the top of our pitchfork band. And so we could see a bit of a reaction from there where we do get that bigger 3-wave corrective move before seeing that big 3rd wave. And so I will be watching that golden pocket above. But really, to me, there is that golden pocket there. But to me, the more interesting level of resistance is still our 786 Fibonacci in confluence with that weekly level and a naked weekly point of control. That is really between like 238 and 240. Let's just say 238 to 240. So that would be the next area of resistance that I'm really interested in looking for at least a scalp short opportunity. Because if we're looking at a double 1-2, a 1-2, 1-2, and we're going to see a 3rd wave, that 3rd wave could bring us up to this area where we could end the 3rd wave. Then we could see a 4, 5, 4, 5 coming up to the top of the pitchfork. 1-2, 1-2, 4, 5, 4, 5 up here. So it depends on what happens locally right now with this local golden pocket that we're coming into as we speak. We do have some bear divs on the chart from really yesterday to today. Actually, just today, we've been grinding in this kind of channel here. And you can see lower highs on the momentum waves, money flow coming out here. And so because of that, we could see that pull back to 211. Now, remember, if we come back down to 211, I will be looking for really big, much longer swing long opportunities here for Solana. Let's go real quick to our second Solana chart, and let's zoom out here onto the 4-hour time frame. Not this one, this guy here. And I want to show you guys the Fibonacci channel. So very similar to Bitcoin, I'm watching not only pitchforks, but I'm watching the Fibonacci channel. And this Fibonacci channel really goes back all the way through the whole bull market. You can see here, it started at the very beginning of the bull market. We got our big impulse up, really almost to the 2 Fibonacci level. But you can see here that our midline, very similar to Bitcoin, has been macro support here on higher time frames. Well, after breaking above the midline, now we're back testing the 618 Fibonacci of that Fib channel. It is also the back test of our macro value area high of our range that goes back to March of 2024. So anytime, just like with Bitcoin, you're ranging for a long time. The fair value for an asset is within this range for a long time. You break out of that range, you back test that range, and you hold it as support. Now we can actually look for Solana overall to be coming up, to break up into new all-time highs, to break up into above our $300 level, $295, $300 level. And if we're going to be looking at that break up, if this is going to take some time for this to happen, we could see it align with the top of our channel. The pink channel is the main channel that this has started from. We could break up to that 326 level where we do have some resistance above us. So Solana looking pretty good here and bouncing from the macro value area high and our 618 Fibonacci channel support level. After flipping it, you can see here if I zoom in onto the 4-hour chart, very bullish to see this. And we're, looking like we could be impulsing out of that. So that's it for Solana. Let's go on. I'm not going to cover Say and Sui today. Don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to cover my main five that I do. XRP. XRP is breaking out of our descending channel. We talked about this on the stream yesterday. We have that descending channel, and after seeing a fake out up here, we bounced from our value area low. We've reclaimed, broke out of the channel again. Excuse me, broke out of the channel again. Back tested that channel. So in yesterday's stream, I said that it's highly likely that we at least come up to take out these highs into our naked daily point of control and our range point of control at 301. And I still expect XRP to continue pushing up to at least 301. XRP is actually lagging behind very, very much so compared to some of the other coins that are pumping right now. But I expect XRP to at least push up to 301, 302. That's this general area, next area of resistance. The swing failure pattern of our local highs at 299.4 into your naked daily point of control at 301 and your range point of control pretty much at 301. If we can get above this local resistance above us, then I expect us to really push up to this next purple box that we front ran last time. Let's see. Yeah, we can pull this to this guy here. Okay, so that purple box, I'm going to shift it down just a little bit. It's going to be our macro value area high in confluence with our Fibonacci 786 at 321. And of course, we would have a liquidity grab, a key liquidity grab of this high into that area of resistance. Yes, we could get some stops along the way. If we break above this, flip it to support, we could see a small SFP here to come down, but I would expect this to come up to value area high. If you flip the POC, you're going to work your way up to value area high. And so for me, XRP looking pretty bullish. The money flow on XRP does look very bullish. You can see here, very bullish money flow. Now, we already are developing some 4-hour bear divs, which some of the other coins are not developing 4-hour bear divs, but you can see lower highs in the price action, lower highs in the price action. So if we do continue to grind our way up to this 301 level and the money flow is starting to top out and roll over here, we could see that rejection from 301. So just be aware that bear divs are developed on the chart. If we go on to the 2-hour time frame, bear divs are developed on the chart. Money flow still looks pretty bullish on the 2-hour. So I would expect us to at least come up to that 301 area. Hopefully XRP can hold this value area low. We can flip that POC to support and continue working up to the value area high. But XRP is lagging behind the rest of the market quite a bit. Okay, lastly, let's go on to Chainlink. Chainlink is back testing the value area high of this local range. Let me get rid of this guy. Okay, so we had a couple things we were looking at on Chainlink, and we were looking at, as far as our macro price action goes, breaking out of our almost year and a half long volume profile. So going back to November of 2023, so actually almost 2 years long. This had been our fair value for Chainlink between 20, let's say $20.80 down to about $11.25. We've been working, that had been considered the fair value pretty much for the last 2 years. Anytime we worked our way up towards the top of the fair value, we saw big sell-offs. Anytime we worked our way towards the bottom, we saw big buys. But what we saw just a few weeks ago was the break of that value area high with volume to the upside. And so what we were looking for over this past weeks is a 3-wave corrective move to back test the value area high around 20.6 and also to take out our range lows that were at 20.8. If you go back and watch my streams from a couple weeks ago, this was the main area I was looking for a swing long position on Chainlink. And we did that 3-wave corrective move. We back tested that value area high and we're holding it. So now we can expect Chainlink could break up potentially all the way up to $35 or higher. Yes, we will see some stops along the way, some small pullbacks along the way. But Chainlink is looking pretty good here. We do have the potential to create another drive of bear div if we come above our 2786 level and we create a lower high momentum wave on the daily time frame, so over the next week or two, then that'll be a triple drive of bear div here. 1, 2, 3 highs with 3 lower highs and money flow draining out of the asset. That could signal for a bigger move down, but we would at least have to come above 2786 first. So macro price action, Chainlink is looking bullish. We were expecting that backtest and new highs to be coming in. Really, it would be best to see new highs above this $31 level to take out these highs. That's what I've been looking at for the past few weeks, and that's why we were looking at swing longs at around that $20.6 level, $20.60 level. Now, let's zoom in on some of the lower time frames here, and let's talk about this range that we've been in since since August 9th, so almost 3 months now. August 9th, September 9th, October 9th, you know, we've been in this range for quite a bit here. And let me hide this macro volume profile so you don't get confused. We are back testing the value area low of that range right now. It is also the top of our small parallel channel. This ascending channel that we've been in. Now, if this is a corrective move with an ascending channel on lower and lower volume, then we would expect to reject either from the top of the channel in the value area low, which we're at now, and break down, or we would expect to come up a little bit higher to that golden pocket and point of control and then reject down. Let's turn on our volume here. Volume overall is kind of going lower and lower and lower here. You can see how it's going lower and lower with some real low volume in the middle here. So it's not looking the best so far yet as a super bullish move. Now, I will say this, my macro bias is bullish for Chainlink. But this move that we've been seeing so far, unlike Solana, where Solana's really taking off and piercing and looking real strong, Chainlink, yes, this could be a double 1-2 impulse, just like with Solana, and we could start to really push up here in a third wave. But I would say the volume looks a little bit less satisfying to me. And right now we are at local resistance, being the value area high, value area low of that range that we broke down from, this upper range. And if we reject from here, then at the very least, we probably could see another move down to the bottom of the channel. Let's actually pull a Fibonacci from our last lows to our highs that we just made. Yeah, we could see a move down to the bottom of the channel around 21.6 to 21.5. And if we do see that three-wave corrective move down there, that could be an area where we could long as well, just like with Solana. If we're looking at a multiple 1-2 impulse, then you could see your big third wave. And in that case, we probably would not have the reaction we want from this box of resistance. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that as the price action develops here. We have to see right now what happens at this value area low. But overnight, if we continue working our way up to this golden pocket, then I would be looking at this as a multiple 1-2 impulse, with this being your third wave here, maybe a rejection, back test of the value area low, and then the 4.545 coming up potentially to like 24.4, 24.5, where that pitchfork midline is for this impulse. And yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. We're going to be streaming tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, streaming Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll keep you updated on all this price action as it develops. But the market is looking pretty strong right now. Last thing I want to cover real quick is Bitcoin dominance, because Bitcoin dominance is seeing that push up above the golden pocket. And I talked about this in yesterday's stream. So if you didn't see that yesterday's stream, you could go look at yesterday's stream. I'm not going to go too in depth from it. But let's actually zoom out to the 2-day time frame. We had our big breakdown of this 3-year long channel, broke our lows. So if we look at a golden pocket from our last major lows where we bounced from a weekly channel midline, you can see this dotted line here was a weekly channel midline, and we made new highs on the charts up to these highs here. Well, if we pull that golden pocket from those lows to these highs up here, that golden pocket was coming in around 59 to 58.5%. Well, anytime you break down below that and then back test it, I really expected us to come down to the 786. Now we had front run that 786, but you can see here we're attempting to reclaim this golden pocket. So if we can actually reclaim this golden pocket, I do think we can see a pretty big move up on Bitcoin dominance, meaning Bitcoin might run harder than some of the altcoins. Of course, if we see that, then we could be looking at still overall a lower high to be coming in before creating another lower low and seeing that altcoin season. But we might see a few weeks of Bitcoin kind of taking precedent again, seeing a pump against the altcoins. So right now we looked at this in yesterday's stream. If you pull a golden pocket from the highs to the lows of this dump on Bitcoin dominance, that golden pocket is coming in around 62.9 to 62.6%. And you can see that would also be the bearish backtest of our multi-year long channel trend that we broke down from. So I would really be looking at a potential lower high, a more macro lower high coming in here where we could break down. And if we start to reject from here, I'm going to be looking at some really big altcoin runs that could happen. But that's about it, guys. If you got anything out of this video, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Just want to talk about the partners of the channel. BYDFI is the main partner of the channel. They are a VPN and KYC free exchange. All you need is an email and a password to sign up. If you're interested in signing up, you can get 20% up, minimum of 20% discounts on trading fees, but you can get up to 40% discounts on trading fees depending on how much you deposit. They have really great initial deposit bonuses. If you deposit just $100, you can get a 50% deposit bonus, and then you can get various 10% to 20% deposit bonuses depending on how much you deposit. They're offering up to $8,100 in futures trading bonuses depending on how much volume you move in those futures markets. And I have partnered with BYDFI to create a Telegram community where I do post my market analysis and some of my trade setups. If you're interested in joining that Telegram, it's free. All you need to do is sign up with BYDFI using my affiliate link, deposit $100. That's still your $100 to trade with. You will get a 50% deposit bonus as well. And then once you do that, you can go into the link in the description of this video, click on the Telegram link, type in /verify, and then your user ID, which will be up here. It's probably going to be a string of letters and numbers for you, but that'll get you access to that Telegram community where you can see some of my analysis. Second, we do have NAMI. NAMI is a momentum and money flow indicator that I use for entry and exit confirmations. If you're interested in purchasing NAMI, they're running a 50% off special if you use my affiliate link. Divine50 is the discount code. Both the link and the description, the link to purchase and the discount code is in the description of this video. And then lastly, we do have MEXC and Bybit, both very great reputable exchanges with low fees. They're offering $30,000 in futures bonuses for Bybit and up to $10,000 in futures trading bonuses for MEXC. Links are in the description for both those exchanges if you'd like to sign up with those exchanges. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll be live tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll cover some of this price action. We'll cover the changing probabilities and continue to trade these markets. Have a good one. See you tomorrow.